Welcome back to Seen It Before, where we're probably going to say something stupid about your favorite movie because we've seen it all before. I'm Danny.
I'm Dan, and Danny is not sweaty enough, apparently.
Okay, it was it was a struggle to get all this set up today. It was something, everything went wrong. My iPad's almost dead. I got to have it plugged in here, and it's the whole thing.
Yeah, all right. Well, it is Star Wars Day week here on Seen It Before. So we have our quote-unquote Star Wars specialists coming in. Here, clutch here, Sean. He's got his
blaster.
Hey guys,
what's going on, Sean? Good to have you back as usual. You're on like all of our Star Wars stuff. What are we doing this week, Sean?
well, I was given some pretty hard homework to watch over. Was it Return of the Jedi? Sorry, I don't remember.
Okay, yes, Return of the Jedi, and I lost my notes because I deleted it for another project we were doing at the time, and
Wonderful.
Yeah. I only use like 3 different notes tabs, and I put them all in like the same thing, and I just...
Why do you do...
I don't know, man.
No, you gotta be organized.
I'm not. You know me?
I have entire folders. Like, I have entire folders devoted to Seen It Before, and every time we watch a new movie, I do a new note.
Yeah, well, guess who isn't organized? Me.
You should stop that.
Nope. All right. Well, let's stop that, and let's get to this review of Return of the Jedi.
All right, so we just watched Return of the Jedi, and it was good.
How many times have you seen it?
It
was good?
Okay, I've seen it, probably like 10, 12,000 times. So,
yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
1,000.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot of times. What is Sean? Sean, you've seen it so many times.
Well, I don't know about thousands of times, maybe like 5 or 10 times or something.
Okay, it's probably more than that. Get over yourself.
But I have been quoted as saying, the last hour of Empire Strikes Back and the first hour of Return of the Jedi are my 2 favorite hours of Star Wars. The last hour, you get the best spin thing, Luke, I am your father. No, I am your father. and then Return of the Jedi, you get the whole Jabba's Palace stuff. I think that's like the greatest that Lucas has given us so far.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start with that. Let's start with that first hour of Return of the Jedi. So, Danny, you're the notes guy right now. So,
so it's called Return of the Jedi, more like Return to Tatooine, because they they go back to Tatooine. Okay, so it's kind of cool that they start off in one place. It's like literally the hero's journey to a T, where you start somewhere, your normal life, and then you go through a bunch of trials and stuff, and then you end up back where you were just as a different person. And that's literally what Luke is done. He's just a completely new person now, and now he's on Tatooine. And I like that he has his Jedi robes now. He's all dressed in black. And
the black is sick. And with the green lightsaber too, deleted scene, we don't really see it, but the green with the black, I think it contrasts really good. I was a big fan.
Yeah, and because I like when characters evolve or like fit visually, like where they look. So like Luke has 3 distinct looks in every movie. He has his white robes in or his like white kind of farmer outfit in New Hope. Then he's got like his kind of jumpsuit in Episode 5, and then now he's all in the black Jedi robes now. So I thought this was really cool.
Character development.
Yeah,
unlike what we got in the sequel trilogy with Rey.
Yeah, okay, so with Rey, I would have liked they did a little bit with giving her the new hair in Last Jedi, but then they backtrack going back to the old hair, and they gave her just like a newer white kind of outfit, which it's not necessarily, it's different.
She's a Skywalker now.
Yeah, but now she's like the embodying the Jedi and stuff. But like, I would have liked, I liked her Sith Sith look. That would have been cool if like she stayed like that, But I don't know.
Yeah. Sean, what about you? We're talking about the first part of Jabba's Palace before Han comes out of Kryptonite. Carbonite.
Wrong franchise. No, yeah, definitely. I like what you said with the Tatooine thing. It all began here and it all ends here. And to bring it back to, you were just mentioning Rey and the Rey Skywalker BS that was. That ends on Tatooine as well. It started in Jakku, which was very similar to Tatooine, desert planet, nothing going on. And what do you know? It comes back to Tatooine. But the beginning of Return of the Jedi, I mean, what else can I say? As you can tell, I'm a big Mandalorian fan, you know, so we get our Boba Fett. Yeah, finally. Unfortunately, you know, it's the fall of Boba Fett. Thankfully, spoiler alert, you know, he comes back, which all fans have been praising since, you know, we did that with the Mandalorian, which is awesome. But also some fun Easter eggs too. We see the crate dragon skeleton in the dunes of Tatooine somewhere. That's in like the very beginning. Again, comes back in the Mandalorian. You know, so like I said, this is the greatest Star Wars there is.
Get a little Rancor action.
Yeah,
I mean,
all the different alien species we see. The stupid dance number.
Yeah, I was gonna say the weird. I can't stand that shit. Like it's goofy and it's Star Wars, but like I just can't stand it. And
yeah, I don't. Oh, so you don't like Jedi rocks?
No.
I like it better than what was originally in there.
What was that?
Wait, that's what it's called, Jedi rocks.
Yes, it's called Jedi rocks.
I didn't know that.
What was the original thing that was in there?
I don't know what it's called, but I just remember it. It's like it sounds more like better. It just sounds better to me. Like the Jedi rocks. It's like if we're gonna have a stupid dance number, you might as well go all out, right? Well, like the other one's just kind of like cantina music, but they devote like 5 minutes to it instead of Jedi rocks, where it's like yeah, I could bop to that, you know. Your face is
I'm just staring at you right now.
you fuck. Anyway, so that's going on in Tatooine, and right before I had to use my Face ID to open this up. Right before we go to Tatooine, we see right off the bat they're already building the Death Star too, and it's a little unoriginal. But what's more unoriginal is just doing the Death Star but bigger. Which
what's more unoriginal? Doing it again in the sequel series.
Yeah. So this whole scene, the Emperor is kind of like showing up, or no, the Emperor doesn't show up yet, but Darth Vader shows up in his transport, and he's all like, "The Emperor is coming," and like all of a sudden, like you get to see like how much fear, like just the mentioning of his name instills, and like all the officers and stuff, and I just like that because it's like, sure, it's. A thing that Star Wars does that it breaks is like they always hear show don't tell, and they break that rule with Darth Vader and the Emperor, where like they just tell you how badass Darth Vader and the Emperor are, that like, but like it's effective, so you know.
Yeah, I mean they kind of built it up for the first two movies, at least with Darth Vader. I mean you only saw a little bit in A New Hope, and then you got a little more action with Empire Strikes Back. But you never really heard of the Emperor too much, right?
You see one quick shot of him that was added in the special editions in Empire.
See, yeah, it's just kind of like foreshadowing, the little building of suspense for episode 6.
Yeah, and I like that. It's, you know, but back to Tatooine, where like the whole like our heroes are kind of doing their own thing. Bib Fortuna like kind of like is like the one that like answers the door, and he's all like, "What do you want? You want to see Jabba?" And like, just to think that this fucking asshole is the guy who like succeeds Jabba in the Book of Boba Fett. Like, yeah, this guy's he's a bitch.
Man. He's a slime ball. That's what he is. He fills in for Jabba. You know, he's a Slimo. You know, come on.
I just. Well, who would you rather see fill in for Jabba?
I would honestly rather see Salacious Crumb. Be
people don't know Salacious.
I don't even know who that is.
Or Jabba.
Is this little rat pet? Yeah,
howler monkey or something like that. But it's like little thing chained to him. You know,
that'd be pretty funny, honestly.
Literally anyone other than
I'd watch that.
Or the Gamorrean guards. You know, they got done dirty in the Book of Boba Fett. They got pushed off the cliff. You know,
yeah, they got fucked up.
Back to what you said with the, you know. I forget how you said it, but it's supposed to be shown, not told, with the whole, you know, Vader being this big scary bad, Emperor being this big scary bad thing. Again, I totally agree with you. You know, we never see, you know, the badassness that is Darth Vader, you know, that everyone's so afraid of, this scary man with the black helmet on, until Rogue One.
Yeah.
Rogue One, they did justice, you know, with the 2-minute screen time that Vader got. And I mean, we still haven't seen any some badassness out of Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine, in my opinion. So
that's what a prequel movie would be pretty cool for, like a prequel to the prequels.
Yeah, I would love to see like Darth Plagueis the book be made into a movie or something like that, because like that's all about Sidious's like rise or like killing his master, right? I forget. But
yeah, it tells. It's more of like a political book, honestly.
Yeah,
it's really good. I 10 out of 10 recommend it, and it's got like, since you mentioned it, there's 2 things in that book that I think really stand out. Spoiler alert, spoilers. In this book, they explain, that Palpatine and Plagueis, his master, influenced the midichlorians, George Lucas's favorite word, influenced the midichlorians to create life, therefore being Anakin Skywalker. So all these people that hate on the Phantom Menace, and like, oh, like you just created out of thin air, there's no father. Yeah. Well, there was plans, we just didn't get to it. So that's the first big takeaway. The second big takeaway is that the Kaminoans, the cloners, are from another universe. Their universe like exploded or something, so they had like trans-dimensional travel that brought them into the Star Wars universe.
Multiverse.
10 out of 10, read that book.
All right, yeah, I'll have to check that one out, because I think we talked about it on the Book of Boba Fett, or maybe what was the other episode where we did with you, Sean? Or was it
Attack of the Clones?
Attack of the Clones. It has to.
Attack of the Clones. Yeah, it was probably Attack of the Clones that we mentioned it, but. So back to Tatooine though. If I were R2, like, okay, first of all, what's Luke's plan? What is Luke's plan? Does he have like 3 different plans, or did he just like?
He's got an ego problem like his father.
I mean, yeah.
So
He's like, I'm a powerful Jedi. I'll just fucking sell my droids, and then put my sister in there, and then fuck it, nothing works, so I'm just gonna do it myself.
Obviously, I don't
kiss
know
my sister
anything
goodbye.
else. I don't know anything else besides the viewers know. I mean, but so you mentioned Bib Fortuna is the one who let him in.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you can wave the hand and let me in.
Yeah.
You can't do that with Jabba the Hutt because Hutts are immune to force powers.
Yep.
So that's when his first plan got off the track. Because there's no Jedi to teach Luke Skywalker and be like, hey, this don't work on Hutts or all these other races.
Yeah, but like, so his first plan is to give the droids as a gift.
Mm-hmm.
What after? Like, so like he wants to exchange them for Han, right? Is that that's the first plan? And then that doesn't work, and then he sends in Leia, and then she frees him, but that doesn't work.
Yep.
And then he's like, "Fuck it, I'm just doing it myself." And then they take. How does he lose his lightsaber again? Did they just take it?
He gave the lightsaber to R2.
He went in without his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Oh.
During the Rancor fight, he didn't have the lightsaber either.
Okay. So it definitely sounds like Luke didn't really think any of that through, because he had like all these.
Well, no,
plans.
he kind of did. Like I think. So.
You know what I mean? Because he
definitely thought it through because of what I just said. He thought it through enough to prepare R2 to have his lightsaber.
But like what I'm saying is that if the final plan was for him to just go in there, why would he not just keep his lightsaber? Why would he give it to R2? You know what I mean?
They're probably taking from him at the door. Bib Fortuna's stupid.
He probably had a backup.
Fortuna's a bitch. Like.
Like R2 would just pop it up at any time, honestly.
He'd pop it up?
He'd pop it up at any time, man. Hey, pop it off, pop it up. Hey, whatever he wants to do.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so then Han gets rescued from the carbonite, but just gets thrown back into gets like thrown back into cuffs again, and they goes like, we're gonna throw you in the Sarlacc pit. Like, fuck you guys.
Pit of Carcoon.
That's what it's called?
Yeah, well, that's the name of that Sarlacc. Sarlaccs are a species that are all over Tatooine. Yeah. So that one is the Great Pit of Carcoon. Oh,
okay. So that area is Carcoon?
Yeah.
I think that either that or the specific Sarlacc's name is Carcoon, but something of the like.
Let's talk about they're just looking at each other. They're all just like nodding, looking. The Family Guy skit.
I can't not think of Family Guy when I see that. Yeah. It's like, don't.
Like they all know. Sean, do you know what we're talking about?
I don't think I do. You're referring to what does Family Guy call it? They do their.
It's called. This one is called "It's a Trap." Like that's what the Family Guy episode's called.
So
I try and stay away from all of what are they called when they're making fun of something? I'm blanking on.
The parodies.
Yeah, thank you. I try and stay away from parodies, like Spaceballs. Like, meh. It's because it's something so near and dear to me that I
you don't want to ruin
seriously.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
that's fair.
So when someone's joking about it, I'm like, meh.
Well, yeah, that's a good point you bring up because like I was watching a Star Wars theory episode or a video or whatever. He was talking about how the memes ruined this one scene, and it's a I hate sand scene. Because like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think I talked about that with the Attack of the Clones episode.
Yeah,
everyone hates on it. I'm like, dude, just get past it.
It's like a weird line, but it's Anakin literally stating like how he feels about because like I hate sand. It's a metaphor. It's like it's wrapped up in a metaphor and shit. It's like it's great, but it's ruined because of the memes.
It's catastrophic. It's everywhere.
Yeah, well, like it's funny. I get it, but like
So Boba Fett gets eaten. Sucks.
Yeah. He's like, and do we hear Boba Fett's name until Han says it in this movie? Have we heard that before, or like?
No.
Because like I didn't. Because I remember watching this when I was a kid for the first time. I heard the word Boba Fett, and I'm just like,
where?
Yeah, and it's like, and he does like it's not a Wilhelm scream, but it's some other scream. But I'm like, man, he was cool looking. Now he's dead, but he comes back though, so that's cool.
Comes back in the form of his father.
Not dead.
He's not dead. He was just sleeping. Oh, we didn't talk about Slave Leia, and I know that Sep would definitely have a rant about this, and she did in Revenge of the Sith episode, I think, where she talks about how like the sexualization of Leia and stuff, and like how it's wrong and stuff, and like I agree. When I was a kid, though, I never even thought about Leia sexually like that. I'm not sure about you guys.
About you as an 8-year-old?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
Okay. That's fine.
Am I wrong here?
Definitely, though. You're definitely right. It's especially now the era that we're in, we can look back and reflect on, how the things that George Lucas made Carrie Fisher go through were inappropriate, abusive almost. The thing that sticks out to me was from the original one where he was like, oh, well, they don't wear underwear in space, just because he's a creepy old perv, like it's wrong. You shouldn't have done that.
It's also a product of the times. So like,
and again, the overly sexualized Princess Leia.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, when I watched it, like 12 years old, I wasn't thinking, oh wow, she's hot. I want to sleep with her. It's just not something that we as young kids look at.
Yeah.
But all these old pervy people did.
Yeah, it's like, well, that sounds like everybody else's issue, not the
So after the whole Tatooine stuff, the first thing that Luke does is Luke's like, all right, I got to go back and finish my training. Mm-hmm. So mind you, between when Luke left Dagobah and now, this is like over a year. This is almost 2 years of time.
Yeah.
So he's now going back to finish his training with Yoda, and unfortunately, Yoda.
Yeah. He dies in a single scene. He's like, it's time for me to rest.
Luke asked me too many questions.
When gone, I am the last of the Jedi. You will be. That's the line.
Nice.
The last of the Jedi, or I guess it would be Return of the Jedi.
Even though he lied because Ezra, Ahsoka.
He doesn't know about all that, right? Yoda, or Grogu.
Grogu, yeah. But they're not technically Jedi. Like that's like the excuse for the Inquisitors aren't Sith. It was like, because I always thought like the rule of two, why are the Inquisitors here? Like, oh, they're not Sith. They're not Sith. They're just dark side users. So it's a way to expand the universe without breaking the rules.
In a way, yeah.
There's a point where I forget where Obi-Wan says it. I think it was right after Yoda, became one with the Force. The ghost of Obi-Wan says to Luke, he's like, from a certain point of view, it may look like that from a certain point of view, and that brings me back to another book, this book being canon, titled From a Certain Point of View, where it's really good. It's like
it's like short stories, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like 25 different characters and their what happened to them in this timeline. So for example, one of them is Shmi Skywalker, or it's the ghost of Shmi Skywalker, and then another one is Boba Fett right after Vader takes the carbonite slab, and then there's a whole different, what else is happening in the galaxy. So it's a really good thing to, plug in here.
That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and well, we're talking about this. So when we're on Dagobah, Obi-Wan shows up after Yoda dies, and he's like, confirms, with from a certain point of view, that's the, when he's like, yeah, Luke or Darth Vader is your father.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly it. You're right.
Yeah, and then he also says, it's like,
There's another.
He talks about the other one, and he's like, your sister, and then he just like the next line is just so quick. He's like, Leia. I'm like, shit. He guesses that way too quickly. He's like the only girl in the universe.
I've done so much.
Yeah, he
Guilty conscience.
like we don't know what he's done. Like Leia,
2 years.
him and Leia were like together alone for a couple years. It's just 3 years or whatever when Han's frozen in
Chewie
carbonite.
was there. Don't forget, Chewie was there too.
Chewie likes to watch.
Hey. No, hey, maybe they got kinky and it was like a 3-way. I don't know. Why?
So we don't know. But anyway, after that, what happens? He goes. They go meet up back at the Rebel base, and that's when they have probably the most awkward line deliveries. This must have been like the first day that they were shooting, because like the way Luke says like, "You're not going without me," and then Han and Lando have a scene together, and they're like, the way Lando delivers the line, he's like, you better bring, or Harrison Ford's like, you better bring her back in one piece. And then Lando's just like, would you get going, you space pirate? He does like with the hands. I'm just like, what are you doing? That's really weird. But yeah.
It's also the 80s at this point. So I don't know.
What, in the 80s, people just acted like fucking weirdos?
It's not a trap.
So we go from the Rebel base, all that spiel. Oh no, it's another Death Star, just exactly the same as the other one. And what did they do? They also built a flaw into it. Stupid, cheesy, yeah. But from there we get to Endor, the forest moon of Endor, and we meet the lovable creatures, Ewoks.
Yeah, which were supposed to be Wookiees, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah. So I believe it was just the name, right? So I believe what we know as Wookiees were supposed to be called Ewoks, but then somewhere in the conceptualization of the Wookiees, we got, the miniature versions. And he was like, oh, no, that's an Ewok, and we'll call these ones, I don't know, Wookiees. if I were there, that's how it would have went down.
So yeah, fuck
solid.
it. Okay. Hands down, one of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars is the speeder scene. Like, it's really well done. And there's some stuff you were telling me about, like, how it was filmed.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
So what they would do, this is 83, so the Steadicam was invented. So what they would use a Steadicam, walk through the redwood forest. They would shoot 1 frame per second, and then they would speed it up to 24 frames per second, so that as they're walking forward. So they would click, 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 and then that would translate to fast motion. So they couldn't just speed it up in a program, or they couldn't like play the projector faster. So they literally had to do that and splice each frame into the film reel, and that's how they made that like green screen effect where like the forest is going really fast. So
This shit's so cool.
But no, that slow-mo bit, that's really cool. How they did it frame by frame, like a true slow motion, because you think, the layman would think, oh, slow-mo, you just speed it up, but they don't understand, that 30 frames per second is regular. So if we wanted to go faster, we need more frames. If we wanted to go slower, we need less frames, No,
you got the other way around. So you want to have more yeah, you know what I mean. But you got to have more frames. But yeah, I think that Lucasfilm was very known for making like good effects, like revolutionary effects. Like George Lucas was the first to do an entire movie in digital with Attack of the Clones. He was. I mean, I'm not sure if he was the first to do this, but he made matte paintings kind of like a standard. In like I know that like the shot where like the Darth Vader's ship is coming in at the beginning of this with the background, that's a matte painting, and they just had a miniature flying through on a string, and like that's like really cool. And
that's how they did it the whole time.
Yeah, it's really cool.
They're known for practical effects too. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing. George Lucas, again, before the time of digital and all that bullshit, he was always practical effects. You even look at what was it, the Phantom Menace, the Nemoidians, the separatist people, they're like the gray looking weirdos. Yeah. All of their head was practical cogs and gears that made their lips and their eyes and everything move, because he could have done it digitally, but that's not how he does. And you think about where we are now. You find me a movie, a blockbuster film right now that doesn't use any part of Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm Studios, their animation team, their sound effects, all of these things that Lucas created are still being used. Like all the Avengers movies.
Yeah, Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah,
they get all the audio. Yeah.
Yeah, ILM. Well, they were big proprietors of Pixar, and that's like they're making Oscars every time they put out a movie. So, it's very award winning, and like George Lucas definitely had the forethought. And everyone shit on him, and I'm included. Right around like when I was like really getting into Star Wars, like really focusing on how these films were made in like 2014, 2015. I shit on him because I'm like, that CGI looks terrible. I can't believe he did that. It's like, I shit on him for other shit, for the screenplay too, but I don't think it's that good, but,
Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah. Looking back now though, and understanding like he revolutionized everything. He was the guy, like, he's like, he like what he's doing, what Jim Cameron is, or he was doing.
James Cameron.
James Cameron.
Said Jim Cameron.
People call him Jim.
Who? You don't know him?
I don't know him, but he revolutionized motion capture in 2009 with Avatar. Highest grossing movie ever. Well,
I don't know if he developed it, but like he definitely made it prominent in films.
I literally think he developed it.
Did he?
I remember seeing some sort of video where they're like, we had to literally like we had to figure out like taping dots or whatever to people. And like shit like that, or like, oh no, so you're right, they didn't invent motion capture. He perfected it with the face capture. I think that's what he did.
Okay,
because he put all the dots on their faces, and then he made like the mechanism to put on their heads with the camera kind of like out in front of them. Yeah,
like a lot of video games do nowadays.
Yeah, well, I remember because they were doing that in 2007 with Guitar Hero 3.
Yikes. Right.
But yeah, so it's like George Lucas, definitely we owe him a lot to like how the film industry is today, and Lucasfilm is still revolutionizing stuff today with I forgot what it's called, but it's the thing that they filmed The Mandalorian on, the moving projector screen.
Oh yeah, the big ass projector screen. I forget what it's called. It's basically
there's some weird name like the Minotaur or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they it's literally like they move the camera and it's digitally mapped, and however they move it in the digital or in the physical environment, in the digital environment it matches it, and it moves the projector screen. It's so cool, and you can have an actual actor up against a real background interacting. So it's not like how the prequels were made, or even how the original trilogy was made, when they're acting against nothing, which they're acting against the screen. But now they have something to bounce off of. So and natural lighting too.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can use it outside. Like, that's the coolest thing.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome, dude. So back to the movie though. Where were we? They're just about to like launch their attack on like the Rebel or the Death Star 2, and now so they're kind of on Endor right now, and they're kind of attacking the bases with the shield generator, right?
Yeah. So there's like the shield generator like hut, I don't know what it was, and they were trying to take it over, but they needed the help of the little furry guys.
Yeah.
And I will say, again with the Ewoks, I think this is the first time that we've seen in the movie C-3PO actually be useful. This is the first time ever they use C-3PO.
I have literally in my notes, C-3PO is the most annoying character in all of Star Wars. I hate him. But it is nice to see him be useful.
He was quintessential. The whole the glowing golden thing. That's the first time he's been useful in all of these movies.
He's just like, it's like 3PO, make these Ewoks, not kill us.
Friend, befriend these guys. Fluent in over 4 million forms of communication. All right, we'll fucking do something with it, dude.
Except Sith.
Yeah, not Sith actually, that's now that's actually an interesting thing.
He is fluent in it. He does this, and I think that's the second time C-3PO becomes useful, which is in what was it called?
Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. No. So he does speak Sith, but it was something with government mandates where he wasn't allowed to speak it.
But didn't Anakin program him?
So what? Yeah. So what? But was that was that added in the sequel trilogy? So once they defeat the Empire in Return of the Jedi, did they reprogram 3PO in before Force Awakens, and then So then, like, their New Republic regulations.
That would make sense, I guess.
No, I guess I don't think they reprogrammed him then. I know they reprogrammed him at the end of episode 3. That's why he doesn't remember all
That's
these
right.
people.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, it could have been then or something.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, like, you know how, like, one of our TikToks was that R2 didn't leave Luke's side because last time he left somebody, Anakin didn't come back.
Yes.
Everyone says they wiped his memory though. He wouldn't remember. Like, no,
R2 never.
it's established in the movies. They don't wipe the droid. Wipe the protocol droid. Don't wipe the astromech.
Yep.
He said it in the movie. So, I've wanted to say that for since
All
that
you haters out there on
since that TikTok has been posted. Yeah, literally.
Why didn't you say it then? Pussy.
Anyway, so we get basically the big final act in the movie, and that is split between 3 different battles, I guess. You got the one that I only care about, which is between Luke and Vader. Then we have Lando and going up against inside the Death Star and the space battle. And then we have Han and Leia and Chewie at the shield generator.
Yep.
And like I said before, I don't give a shit about any of these storylines other than Luke and Vader. Like, that is point
and
A.
against Sidious as well.
No way. There's something. I forget who told me about it. It was someone at work, but they told me there's a edit on YouTube, and you'd appreciate this, Danny. There's an edit where they take all of the space battle and they cut out all the other bullshit, and they just play it back to back to back as if it was happening chronologically without all the cutaways, and that makes it way more enjoyable. I mean, I hear what you're saying. The Vader Luke fight scene, that's awesome. That's what we paid for, but you got to think about all these Ewoks, man. It's basically the 7 Samurai story. It's like the home people defending against the invaders, and the home people were like these primitive fucking like little teddy bears with rocks and sticks. Shit's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that was like one of the themes or whatever. Like Lucas going up, like making the primitive against the technological. Right. That was one of those.
This shit I want to talk about for a second, because sidebar, Battlefront 2. Ewok Hunt, shit's dope.
Dude,
Ewok Hunt is so fun.
I have PTSD playing that game. Like if you turn off your flashlight in that game, it's like you see like little fires burning in the distance, and then you don't know when an Ewok's gonna come up and stab you in the back and shit.
Stab him in the butt, guys! Stab him in the butt!
Yeah, dude, it's terrifying. That game is terrifying.
Yeah, I think I stabbed you in the butt like many times.
Yeah,
yeah,
you did.
Yeah,
in the game.
Not in real life. In the game. But yeah, Sean, have you ever played any of the new Battlefront games for PlayStation 4, Xbox One?
You know what? Actually, it's a heartbreaking story. I pre-ordered the first Battlefront when it came out. I got the season pass, all that. My parents spent like $90 on this video game.
Oh, dang.
And then it flopped.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm never buying this again. And like I said, with the season pass, dude, we only got like 3 new characters, none of them being Jedis. The coolest new character you could play as was like the geek who plays Lando and Boba Fett. Like, that was cool. Like, whack.
But yeah, Battlefront 2 is so much better, dude. It's so good.
No, it's not.
It's so.
No, it's not. My brothers got it. No, thank you.
It got better.
I was like you, and I played it once. I played the story mode once on Steph's PS4 before I even had a PS4. And I'm just like, this game fucking sucks. The multiplayer is bullshit, and it's all pay to play. They got rid of everything, rebuilt it from the ground up, and it's like one of my favorite Star Wars games that I've ever played. So, we played it for like 4 months straight or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
we played it a lot.
Yeah,
and they update everything with the facial scans too. Like, it looks really good.
Yeah.
No thanks. If I want to play some Combat Simulator, I'll play Call of Duty. But I never want to play that. So
yeah, well, I agree with you. Like, I do think a good game should be like what Elden Ring was, where it was a complete game, and it came out in like nothing. You didn't have to add anything to it. I've never played it.
That's it. Exactly. When I spend $60 on a video game, I don't want to have to go out here and spend $30 more on a potential 1 or 2 new characters I can play. Just fucking put it in the game. Dude,
yeah.
You made how many millions off this game? Just give us what we want.
The Vader and Luke fight is, a great fight. It has all the emotional punch that we've been wanting for this entire trilogy. And I I mean, I wrote so much about this. Like, it's been said many times before how great this entire scene is, but like, damn, is it great? Vader throws his lightsaber. Like, that's a new move we've never seen before at this point in the trilogy. Mm-hmm. Also, when Luke has the high ground on Vader, this is kind of like a retcon that fans have found, but he says, Obi-Wan has taught you well. You know, that's just kind of a line thrown in there in the movie. I don't think George was thinking
about that, dude.
Yeah, like,
that's mad funny.
Yeah,
because that's right when he throws the saber at him, right? Because he's up on the scaffolding and he's like, oh god,
yeah. So I thought
did that the first time.
I think it's really good timing. I think it's just really good timing. I don't think it was ever planned. Like,
I really don't think it was planned. Yeah, because it's too niche. Like you can't hold on to that secret for what 30 years or no 19 years. My bad.
Yeah.
30 years, Luke just loses it when Vader threatens Leia to turn to the dark side, and it's just such a great tracking shot of them as they're going blow for blow, like going down that kind of it's one of the great shots of Star Wars. I think it could be better if that staircase wasn't in the way, though. Like, that's like the only thing that would throw me off, but like it's so great. It's like you just see in like how. A big criticism that people say with action scenes is that, especially during like 2008 to 2012 or whatever, they were really doing the quick cuts and close-up action scenes, right? And everyone's just like kind of craving, like, just pull back, just watch the actors fight, and like that's what they did in this shot. So, you know, props. I give you props, George, or Richard Marquand, because he was technically the director.
Yes,
but it was really George. But
a lot of innovative stuff with this movie. I mean, this franchise, like the trilogy, like so much came from these three movies.
Yeah, well, the cultural impact can't be overstated.
Yeah,
I mean, this is like, technically the second blockbuster was Star Wars the original, but I'd say this is one of the biggest franchises, like the most flawless big franchise that we've had. The trilogy, I meant the trilogy, but
it was a phenomenon.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like Jaws was technically the first, but Star Wars opened up a whole niche of entire like awakened nerd culture in people.
Yeah,
you know, one criticism of this movie though that I would definitely say is that Leia, I wish she had more of a personal connection to Darth Vader, because you know she's his kid too, and she's faced off against him personally in A New Hope. So like I feel like her like revelation, like hearing that, like, you know, oh, Luke is my brother and Darth Vader is my father, I feel like that would have way more impact on her than being like, I knew, like, or some shit, like, you know, how she says it, you know. But I don't know, what do you think, Sean?
Honestly, you're not gonna like it, no one else is gonna like it. I think Princess Leia is the most overrated character in the entire franchise.
Whoa.
Who likes Princess Leia? What does she do? And then, you know, if we could bring it into the next generation, right? The sequel trilogy of 7, 8, 9. She fucking just brought herself back in through the vacuum of space. You know, can we talk about that?
Yeah, that was fucking dumb. I agree.
She was garbage. And then, you know, it's a tragic story what happened to her. Unfortunately, she died while filming the next one. But hindsight is 20/20, right? Here I am thinking that was the perfect way to send her off. Why didn't you just fucking do that? You know?
I think it would have been too harsh.
I do think it would have been too harsh.
Why kill off Han Solo in the first one?
Because he wanted,
and have this crappy Princess Leia. Sorry, was it a Commander Leia or whatever?
General Organa?
But General, yeah. Why carry her throughout the rest of the movies? And she was fucking dumb.
I guess in the original draft of the trilogy, like, it's supposed to be Han in the first one, Luke in the second one, and then Leia in the third one. But obviously, she didn't make it to the third one, so they had to kind of.
I mean, she's technically in it.
Yeah,
and it's technically her on screen, just different from a different movie.
You're talking about the training sequence. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like her just right. Like it's really chopped up scenes from Force Awakens. Just they put different clothes on her and put her in a different environment, and then so that was part of her estate's last like will or whatever. Like she didn't want to be Tarkined. Like she wanted to be last, like actually on the frame. or in the frame. So, but yeah, I agree. Leia isn't obviously not the most important character in the OT or in Star Wars in general, but I think she's you got to give her respect because she started. She's one of the originals, you know, and she has that badass scene in New Hope where she's like, you know, I thought I smelled your stench as soon as you climbed on board in a British accent for some reason. Yeah. But, and then,
I've always said, have you guys seen the Blues Brothers, the movie The Blues Brothers?
I saw it forever ago.
All right. So I've always said that if I were to ever meet Carrie Fisher, you know, I go to a lot of Comic Cons and a lot of conventions and stuff. And I said, if I were to meet her, the one thing I'd get signed from her, nothing Star Wars, it'd be a copy of the Blues Brothers. Because in the Blues Brothers, she's a more badass character than everything. She like shows up with like an M16 because she's one of the Blues Brothers like ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend or something, and she like guns him down with an M16. And I'm like, that was awesome. Why she couldn't do that in Star Wars?
Because there's no underwear in space. So no, but if I were to meet her, I would have her sign a copy of Scream 3 because she cameos really quickly in that. And she's like, there's a picture of like her headshot next to her, and she's like, yeah, I know I look a lot like her, but I'm not her, you know.
That's basically what the Blues Brothers thing was. It was just like a cameo, you know, trying to capitalize on the Star Wars movement, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I want to read one of her biographies or autobiographies where she's like, Wishful Drinking, I think is one of them. It came out right before she died, and so like I thought it would be kind of like insightful to see what she was like thinking about towards the end of her life, technically. Not that she saw it coming or anything, but, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting. And so, but back to Leia, though. I feel like all right, so Sean, you got to agree with me. If she reacted a little bit like, or if George gave her more development, like with that revelation of Darth Vader being her father, you think that would make her a better character?
No, yeah, definitely. I think there needed to be more development with the character. I think that's why I didn't like it. Because the character didn't do anything. You know, we talked about it in this movie. She has the plan to save Han Solo. You know, she comes in, she sneaks him out, and she defrosts him from the carbonite. And like, again, that's the first useful thing she's done in 3 movies. You know, like, yeah, you see her in like the Hoth base, like doing stuff. But like, what does she actually do?
I think it's more of like her status is what she is or what she does because she's able to get everyone in good with the rebels, you know. That's her purpose in the story. And it's not really overstated or, you know, but, you know, like I think George just has a problem with writing female characters because Padme was great in episode 2 because she was like a general main character and she actually fought in the final battle and she had like a lot of development. And then in the 3rd one, she's just pregnant and sad. So... You know what I mean? So it's like...
Yeah. You're definitely right, though, with the Padme thing. Like, that's such a contrast of developed female leads. You know, like Princess Leia, don't do dick. But here we have Padme Amidala, who fights off the Neku in the Geonosis Coliseum. And Anakin and Obi-Wan were like, well, how are we going to get her out? And Obi-Wan's like, bro, she's farther than you are, man. Like, don't worry about her. You know, like, that's awesome. You know, that's what we need. Strong female leads, and I don't think Princess Leia was that.
What's your thoughts on Rey then?
Rey, I didn't like. Well, but I think, unfortunately, that's a problem of the circumstance. You know, like, who knows what JJ was going to do? You know, like, if JJ got his full trilogy, then, you know, we could have seen something. But when it was Rian Johnson in the second one, right?
Yeah.
The second one threw everything off balance, you know, and so... I think that was a really, really bad moment for the franchise. They should have just let JJ do it. But greed got in the way and said, no, you're doing Star Trek. You're out of here. You know, I'm like, come on.
I didn't know that was the reason. I thought he just didn't want to do it.
Well, no, I believe, and I mean, I'm no expert on anything, but I believe the story goes that he was in the process of working with, who did Star Trek? Was it like Universal or something? I don't know. But he was working with this other company to develop the first Star Trek movie, or the second Star Trek movie, one of the live action Star Treks. And he was like, nah, I'll do this, but you got to wait till I finish this. And they're like, nope, you're off it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was one of those fanboys who was really hyped for Rian Johnson with Last Jedi. Like, I'm like, oh, he's going to have a great vision for this. And then I just didn't realize I didn't realize that he wanted, because an old interview surfaced about it, and he's like, I don't want to make a good movie. I want to make a divisive movie. The best movies, in my opinion, are the ones that everyone hates and everyone loves. And I'm just like, why would you want to do that? Why? It doesn't make any sense to me.
It's something different for the franchise.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into that now.
I know. But yeah, I think Rey could have been a good character if she just had a flaw. You know, I just think she's a flawless character, and like she's not really relatable. But everyone said that before. But you know, like unlike that, like Leia is the daughter of Darth Vader. That's a flaw. You know, she's the daughter of Hitler. You know, so
yeah.
If they just capitalized on it, that's just my criticism. They could have just capitalized on Leia a little bit more.
We're talking about the Vader Luke fight. Yeah. And honestly, you're right. It was a good fight. It's the first time we see like good choreography, you know, because like the Vader Obi-Wan fight was trash. You know, let's be honest.
It's just two old men poking each other.
Yeah, that was trash. And then, I mean, I guess the one in Empire Strikes Back is kind of cool, but that was more about, you know, the environment and less about the fight.
Yeah.
So I like the Vader fight. I will say though, his fall was weak. He was just like, oh no.
Yeah.
Just like slumped over. Like that was weak as hell. You're trying to tell me that this, you know, this murderous Sith Lord has decimated all of the Jedi, all of these people, and he can't, you know, hold up his lightsaber a couple more times.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. And this isn't my talking point because I totally agree with you that they could have made a better choreography with the fight. But everyone said it's not about the it's not about the actual fight. It's about the emotion that Luke is expressing and like how like he's like wailing on him, and that's the story that they're telling. But like I get what you're saying.
And there's another thing I want to bring up to that is like I really love how they convey emotion through Vader because he's just a mask, and you can see it in that whole scene. It's very tense, it's very emotional, and he's just like, no, or whatever. Yeah, it's so good. It's done so well. And
I got a hot take there though.
We haven't really seen much of that in movies to the point of this at least. What's your hot take there?
When the no came out, everyone hated it, and I am one of the minorities where. No, in Return of the Jedi, where they added like his no when he's like looking at the Emperor, looking at Luke, you know, everyone hated that, and I'm just like, I like that, you know. I mean, like, you know, you can act it in the mask. You can get like what was literally happening, but you don't get that emotion, unless you have that no in there. So like, I'm one of the minorities where I like that, but you know,
I just said I liked it.
Okay, we're in the minority then. All right, Sean, are you in the minority too?
I guess I'm a minority.
All right. Hell yeah, we're all in agreement.
Yeah. But speaking of that, when he's getting wailed on, that shot of Luke looking at Vader with his hand cut off and then his own robotic hand, perfect visual storytelling. It doesn't get any better than that. You see, he has got a broken robotic hand, and you know from the last movie, Luke has a robotic hand. Symbolism. You know what I mean? Symbolism. You know, I just thought it was great. You know, but.
You said something about, you know, how it wasn't so much about the physical battle, but like the internal emotional battle that Vader was fighting. And you're so right. And you don't even know how so right you are, because like, again, we have a lot of comics and books and things that have coming out since then that drive that point even more. You know, there's you've read the Vader comics. You see in that the whole time Vader's doing this work for Palpatine. He's like, but Padme, you know, but all about these people, you know, my whole life before this. So there was definitely that internal struggle. And you're right, the emotional no and all that, you know, it really comes to a fine point right there. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like knowing everything you know about Darth Vader at that point, when he's just like, you see how like that fan artwork of like him like kind of brooding, and then his like a thought bubble, and it's just like Padme dead. You know, it's like he really threw away his life. And like having that no there, and just like this is his shot to fix whatever he can at this point. This is like the last moment, and he does it. So it's really nice. But after Luke basically beats the shit out of Vader, and he stands on his high horse, he's all like, and then Emperor's like, opportunist, so he's gonna be like, hey Luke, why don't you join me? You just took out your father, you're all good, like you passed my test. And he's like, and he throws away his lightsaber, and everyone pointed to that moment, being like, oh, Luke threw away his lightsaber in Return of the Jedi, and that's why it makes sense in The Last Jedi. No, the point of the scene is being, I will not join you, as in defiance. And then The Last Jedi, he's throwing it over his shoulder because he's just indifferent to the Jedi ways. Make no fucking sense. It's not Luke. Okay.
Okay, we're not gonna get into that. That is not the time we have right now.
Okay.
So
right after that, this is a note that I wrote down. It goes back to what I was saying before. There's no other teachers in the galaxy for Luke. What he has was from from Yoda and then the Ghost talking to him. But when he gets hit by the Force lightning by Darth Sidious, you got to think he's never seen this before. You don't know how to. Even if he had the lightsaber, he would have been like, what do I do? I'm just getting electrocuted, So that was really important to me. I was like, oh my God, like this is some new, again, since you keep bringing up the sequel trilogy, in The Rise of Skywalker, when we see Rey use, the Force heal for the first time, that's like this new crazy mystic art that we've never seen of. So that's how I feel about the Force lightning, because the only person who have seen it would have been Mace Windu, and he's dead.
He's potentially dead. Yeah, I'd say he's dead. He could come back in The Mandalorian or whatever. But something that I always wanted Luke to say was that his father wasn't a good man, but he technically did a good thing at the end, right? So I want to make sure that Lucas said, made the point where like Darth Vader's still a villain. Like he's not like all of a sudden a good guy once he sacrifices the Emperor, So like you can't just do one thing and you're redeemed. You have slight redemption, like you did a good thing, but it's like if Hitler saved a dog because he likes dogs right before the end of his life, he's still fucking Hitler. Like
you're absolutely right. Saving your son doesn't, bring back all of those people you murdered.
Yeah, exactly.
You just saved him from following your footsteps.
Yeah, it's like you ended the cycle. Good for you, but you still did all this bad shit, But anyway, that's just my 2 cents on Darth Vader.
Also, before we wrap up Darth Vader, when he's lying dead on the floor and Luke's trying to pull him into the shuttle, and he's like, "Oh, take my mask off. I want to see you." So, fun fact: Darth Vader is the character in all of Star Wars that has been played by the most actors. There's so many people between suit actors, voice actors, if you want to count young Anakin,
stunt
old Anakin.
actors.
Yeah, exactly. So he's had the most people play that one character in all of Star Wars. But the problem I had is now he's fucking British. What do you mean? We take this helmet off and you're from England? What?
I never thought about that. That makes okay. So
the whole time he's speaking, he never has an accent. But as soon as he pops up, like, oi, mate. Like,
yeah, but it makes no sense because he's American or like has like a semi-American accent with Hayden Christensen, and then he's Darth Vader. He's James Earl Jones' voice, and then he's British.
He's not British. Come on.
Yeah,
I never thought about that. That's great.
It's a weird. That's weird. I'd never thought about that either. Shit.
But anyway, we get to the end of the movie, Darth Vader's burial site, and it's a very emotional scene because Luke is all alone watching his father burn, which, again, I think Leia should have been there, but whatever.
100%. You're totally right on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
daddy issues.
But then, they had the celebration of Across the Galaxy, which is added in the special editions, which I think was a great addition. Everyone, the Ewoks are celebrating, the people on Naboo are celebrating,
Coruscant.
Bespin, Coruscant, so everyone's celebrating, and then the Emperor is supposedly dead, and then we, close to directed by Richard Marquand, technically George Lucas, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Return of the Jedi.
Sean,
I like it.
I know you got a lot of stuff there. What else you got that you want to talk about?
Well, no, I've gotten I've said most of my piece, but I agree with you on the seeing peace across the galaxy. That was awesome.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of things that I agree with Lucas for putting in. Like again at the very end the Force ghost of Hayden Christensen.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
We don't need that shit. We don't need that shit.
Yeah, because it just created a bunch of different explanations that made no sense. So
exactly, but the moment that struck with me the most was when we saw the Jedi Temple, because he said peace on Naboo, peace on Endor, peace on Coruscant, and it actually showed the Jedi Temple. I'm like, oh, that thing's still standing. That's so crazy because that to me is like my favorite piece of architecture in all of Star Wars.
Oh yeah, that's actually. Yeah, I'm surprised the Empire would keep that around, or maybe they must have repurposed it or something. Well,
we see it again in, I think it's The Force Awakens. The first time we see like all of the legions of the First Order, that's at Coruscant on the Jedi Temple.
Oh,
I mean, we also see it in all of Clone Wars. So,
yeah,
yeah. Well, yeah. There's some. I mean, no hate to animation, but there's something that's more. That's just like. Yeah, more about seeing it in live action, even if it is CGI made. It just looks like more realistically looking, and compared to like an animation style. I just think it looks better, like in like the original or the prequels. The prequels.
I think we're wrapping.
That's all I got for the movie. That's all my notes. Yeah.
Sean, what do you give this movie out of 100?
I'm not prepared for this. Probably like a good 85. I ain't mad at that score. 85 for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd say I'm always the 85 guy. But it's been a while since I've said 85, so I'm gonna go 85 on this one. I think it's the weakest of the original trilogy. I think it's weakest of the original trilogy.
He's in the.
Have you seen the first one?
Yeah, have you? Yeah.
I've seen the first one. The first one tells a pitch perfect structure story about a character going from one place to like, whatever.
All right.
We can all agree Empire's the best though, right?
Oh yes, 100%. And
Sean, I see. Look at Sean.
Like I said, if you take the last hour of that and the first hour of this and make that a movie, I'll pay for that ticket every day.
I'll agree with that one.
But the whole Dagobah, it's funny I didn't mention this. For Empire Strikes Back, the whole Dagobah stuff, trash. Yoda jumping around with Yoda on your back. I'll take Ewok Village, C-3PO telling stories to the Ewoks over a Dagobah scene any day.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I like the story that's being told, like the bare bones, like Luke is training on Dagobah. We have to have a training sequence of him. Could have been done a little better, more interesting, but
could have totally done like a Rocky type of montage or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Make it fun, But the cave scene though, that's like the scene of Dagobah. So, so 85.
85.
85. Yeah. What do you give it?
Well, Empire's my favorite of the original trilogy. A New Hope is my least favorite of most of Star Wars.
Amen.
Wrong.
This one's kind of in the middle of the 11 movies that we have. Yeah, it's probably like an 81.
81. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Because this movie lives and dies on the final battle between Luke and Vader. Yeah. The rest of it,
well, the first hour though, dude.
First hour is really entertaining. It just feels like a side quest. And I know Sean's going to be offended. It just feels like a side quest compared to like the actual story between Vader and Luke that we're telling.
I see the burning rage in your eyes.
Quest. I think they're literally like finishing the story that was began in the last movie of we're selling off frozen Han Solo. Like, so you can't start a new story without resolving that.
Yeah, well, he's one of the main characters, so I get it. Yeah.
I will say though, what hurt this movie for me was the new trilogy. Especially with, again, I said J.J. Abrams. Who knows what J.J. Abrams was going to do? But when Palpatine came back in the third one, we were like, wait,
oh my god,
did we see that shit explode and fall to the earth?
Yep.
Yeah. Never mind, just completely erasing Anakin's entire arc. He is the main character of Star Wars. Make no mistake. And so
without a doubt.
The first trilogy, or the prequels, are supposed to be about the fall of Anakin Skywalker. original trilogy is supposed to be about the redemption of Anakin Skywalker, and the sequel trilogy was supposed to be about the legacy of Anakin Skywalker. They didn't capitalize on the legacy, and they just,
All right. Before we get too deep into this conversation, I think this is a good place to end Return of the Jedi. So, one more time, we are Seen It Before. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok with the handle @SeenItBeforecast. That's SCENE It Beforecast. And on Twitter now as well with the handle @SIB_pod. SIB_pod.
Yeah.
I'm Dan.
I'm Danny. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter @Danny_Was, my YouTube channel, or my letterboxd @DJ Was, or my YouTube channel @Danny Was. And Sean, what do you have to say? You want anyone link you?
Get that podcast, boy.
Hi. Sean here, partial host of the Mame Men Podcast. Mame, M-A-M-E, Men, M-E-N Podcast. Find us on Instagram at that Mame Men Podcast. Check us out.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it if you are into retro gaming at all and in any capacity.
Or if you want to find out what retro gaming is,
Oh, yeah.
Do it.
Even better. All right. Well, it's been an honor as usual, everyone. We'll catch you next time.